Welcome back to my channel Rare USA Coin Spot Police Money. Today, we're uncovering the hidden secrets of the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin that may look ordinary, but some unusual examples can be surprisingly valuable. Could your old quarter contain a rare error, special strike, or extraordinary condition? Stay with us until the end, because one tiny detail could make all the difference. Let's discover what makes the 1965 quarter truly special: money. Let's get started where ordinary-looking coins can reveal extraordinary stories. Today, we are taking a close look at a coin that millions of people may have overlooked: the 1965 Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a regular 25-cent piece, but 1965 was a turning point in American coinage. This was the year the United States moved away from the traditional silver composition used in circulating quarters and introduced the copper-nickel-clad quarter. And that makes the 1965 quarter especially interesting to collectors. But here is where things get exciting. Not every 1965 quarter is necessarily identical. Certain varieties, special strikes, exceptional condition, and genuine mint errors can make particular examples much more desirable than an ordinary circulated coin. So before you throw an old 1965 quarter into a spending jar, take a closer look, because the details on the coin can matter far more than the date alone. The first thing you need to understand is that a 1965 quarter is not a bicentennial quarter. The famous bicentennial quarter came later, with the special 1776-1976 date and the colonial drummer design on the reverse. The 1965 quarter remains a Washington quarter with the regular eagle reverse. In 1965, the mint began producing quarters with a copper core surrounded by copper-nickel outer layers, replacing the 90% silver composition used through 1964. The standard 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams and has a diameter of about 24.3 millimeters. The regular Philadelphia production was enormous, with more than 1.8 billion pieces recorded, so the typical circulated 1965 quarter is not automatically a fortune. But rarity is not always about how old a coin is. Sometimes the real value comes from an unusual production characteristic, a spectacular mint error, an exceptional preservation level, or a variety that collectors specifically recognize. Now let's talk about what can make a 1965 quarter genuinely interesting. One major area to examine is mint errors and die varieties. Because coins are manufactured at extremely high speed, mistakes can occasionally occur during preparation of dies, striking, or the movement of planchets through the machinery. On the 1965 Washington quarter series, recognized varieties include double die obverse and double die reverse examples. A true double die is not simply a blurry-looking letter or damage caused after the coin left the mint. The doubling must originate from the die-making process and appear in the correct characteristics of the design. That distinction is extremely important because damaged or machine-doubled coins are often mistaken for valuable doubled dies. So if you believe your 1965 quarter has unusual doubling, do not immediately assume you have found a jackpot. Study the lettering, date, and other design details carefully. Compare the characteristics with known varieties, and consider professional authentication when the evidence looks promising. Another fascinating category is the 1965 Special Mint Set, or SMS, quarter. These pieces were specially struck for collectors rather than being ordinary pocket change coins. The 1965 SMS quarter can display a much sharper and more polished appearance than a typical circulation strike, and particularly high-grade examples can command substantially more collector interest. Some SMS pieces can also show attractive cameo or deep cameo contrast, where the raised design appears strongly frosted against mirrored or highly reflective fields. This is where condition becomes extremely important. A coin that survived for decades with marks, scratches, discoloration, or heavy circulation may be worth little beyond a modest collectible premium, while a superbly preserved example with exceptional surfaces and strong eye appeal can be far more desirable. Professional grading can therefore make a significant difference when a coin appears unusually clean, sharply struck, and visually impressive. And now comes one of the biggest mistakes people make when searching for valuable 1965 quarters, assuming every old coin must be worth thousands or millions of dollars. That simply is not how the coin market works. A normal circulated 1965 quarter is generally common, and its value should not be confused with sensational internet claims about ordinary coins being worth millions. However, rare varieties, exceptional grades, unusual errors, and special collector pieces can produce much stronger prices. For example, published auction and price guide records show that exceptional 1965 quarters have reached significant amounts, including a documented auction record of $12,650 for a very high-quality example. That is impressive, but it is also a perfect illustration of why condition and rarity matter. The valuable coin is not valuable merely because it says 1965. It is valuable because of what makes that particular example unusual and desirable to collectors. So, what should you actually look for if you have a 1965 quarter in your collection? Start with the date and inspect the entire coin under good lighting. Look carefully at the lettering, especially the date and major inscriptions, searching for genuine doubling or unusual design characteristics. Examine the edge for anything abnormal, because major striking errors can sometimes be easier to notice there. Check the surfaces for signs of an unusual strike, missing design elements, off-center striking, dramatic die problems, or other characteristics that clearly appear to have happened during manufacturing rather than after the coin entered circulation. Most importantly, do not clean the coin. Scrubbing, polishing, chemicals, or abrasive materials can permanently damage the original surface and potentially reduce collector interest. If your coin appears unusually sharp, pristine, or dramatically different from ordinary examples, photograph it clearly and consider having it examined by a reputable professional grading or authentication service. There is another historical detail that makes the 1965 quarter fascinating. During this transition period, mint marks were temporarily removed from circulating dimes and quarters. That means you should not automatically assume that a 1965 quarter without a mint mark is some mysterious missing mint rarity. The absence of a mint mark was part of the coinage system during this period. At the same time, the San Francisco Assay Office produced special 1965 quarters for the special mint set, also without a mint mark. This is why identifying the exact type and strike is more important than simply seeing a blank area where a mint mark might normally appear. The 1965 quarter represents a major moment when American coinage was changing, and that historical transition is one reason collectors continue to study these coins today. Finally, remember this: the real treasure may be hiding in the details, not in the headline price. If you own a 1965 Washington quarter, do not assume it is worth millions, but do not dismiss it without looking closely either. The ordinary example may be common, while a genuine doubled die, major mint error, special mint set specimen, or exceptionally high-grade coin can be considerably more interesting. And if you were actually searching for a U.S. bicentennial quarter, remember that the correct date is 1776-1976, not 1965. Those bicentennial quarters feature the colonial drummer reverse and were created specifically to celebrate America's 200th anniversary. So check your change, inspect your old coin jars, and pay attention to the small details that most people ignore. You might not discover a millionaire coin every day, but you could discover a fascinating piece of American history, and in rare cases, a coin that collectors are willing to pay a serious premium to own.